Everybody hates the British, whether it's their food, their people, or the fact that they subjugated around a quarter of the globe under brutal colonialist regimes. One of these colonialist regimes was Zanzibar, where in 1896 the pro-British Sultan Hamad bin Tuwaini quit his job by dying under mysterious circumstances. His nephew, Khalid bin Bargash, claimed the throne, but the British authorities preferred the more reasonable Hamud bin Muhammad as the new Sultan. The British diplomatic agent to Zanzibar, Basil Cave, together with General Lloyd Matthews, tried to warn Khalid about the possible consequences of grabbing the throne. But, just like governments when it comes to climate change, he completely ignored it. The warning actually had the opposite effect, because Khalid immediately rallied an army of 2,800 men, of whom 700 were actual Askari soldiers. His artillery regiment consisted of a grand total of 3 Maxim machine guns, 1 Gatling gun and a 17th century bronze cannon that they just had lying around somewhere. Khalid even amassed a navy, rivaling that of Mongolia, with 1 ship, the recently deceased Sultan's own yacht, the HHS Glasgow. The British, on the other hand, had 900 soldiers, 150 sailors and 3 Royal Navy gunboats sporting high explosive shells. Now Khalid's ragtag team of restless ruffians might have been in the majority, but remember, most of these guys have never even held a rifle. Hell, a lot of them weren't even holding a rifle in the first place. The majority of these guys were just armed with whatever they could find lying around. Think stuff like knives, swords, pikes. Some had even dusted off small muskets. Compare that to 3 fucking warships. While the British were amassing their forces, Khalid tried to gain some international legitimacy by asking the American diplomat Richard Mohun to recognize his accession, which failed, with his messenger being told, as his accession had not been verified by Her Majesty's government, it is impossible to reply, which is basically the diplomatic equivalent of flipping someone off. Cave tried on multiple occasions to prevent bloodshed by arguing Khalid to quit and go home. But Khalid, being the stubborn little stinker that he is, instead took the Lion King song "I Just Can't Wait to Be King" way too seriously, and replied that he would proclaim himself Sultan at 3 PM. Again, let me emphasize, the old Sultan had died the same day, not even 4 hours earlier. 3 PM came and went and Cave could not do anything as a royal salute from the palace's guns proclaimed Khalid's accession. That is, because to open fire he needed permission from London. Well, the next day, on August 26, permission came and an ultimatum was sent. If Khalid didn't leave the palace at 9 o'clock the next day, war would be declared. But Khalid remained stubborn, stating, "We have no intention of hauling down our flag and we do not believe you would open fire on us." At 9:02, the British responded by opening fire. Just a side note, I have no idea if this is true, but I like to imagine Khalid sitting on his throne those 2 minutes between 9 o'clock and 9:02, where he's just pouring himself some champagne and giggling that he managed to pull this off, before being scared absolutely shitless by a barrage of gunshots. The British mainly targeted the royal palace, which was a large structure made out of wood. Wood, as some of the more intelligent of you might have already guessed, is a rather flammable material that generally doesn't do well when bombarded with hundreds of high explosive shells. We all know a war isn't really a war without some action going on at sea. While the palace was getting a rather violent prostate exam courtesy of the crown, another battle occurred. The Sultan's yacht opened fire on the British ship the St. George, which went exactly the same way you'd expect a fight between a pleasure yacht and a warship to go. At around 9:40, the bombardment was ceased, while the palace burned and the Sultan's flag was cut down, making this 38-minute conflict officially the shortest war in history. But what happened to our little friend Khalid? Well, as a Reuters correspondent present at the time stated, the Sultan fled at the first shot with all the leading Arabs, who left their slaves and followers to carry on the fighting. Khalid and some of his cronies sought refuge in the German embassy, with the Germans sending him to their East African colonies and making him pinky promise to never go to Zanzibar again. Oh, those Germans, always up to sneaky shenanigans. Moral of the story, Reuters is much older than I thought they were.